Thanks for joining me. I'm Dr. Cheryl Mackowiak with the University of Florida, North Florida Research and Education Center located in the eastern Florida Panhandle. I'm a soil scientist, and on this very gloomy day, a week or so after Hurricane Sally dropped at least a foot of rain on top of us, I think it's a great time to think about how integrating cattle and forage cover crops into a row crop system can actually help us mitigate nitrates from entering the environment. In this case, we're talking mainly about surface and groundwater. We've got a very short video for you, and we're going to have to shift it into real high gear to get it all done in time, so fasten your seatbelts because here we go. Nitrogen fertilizer lost as nitrates is a big concern for much of the country, including Florida. Although it is a critical plant essential nutrient, excess nitrates can get flushed into surface and groundwater by over-irrigation and large rainfall events. This nutrient contributes to algal blooms that can rob water of oxygen, thereby endangering aquatic life. Row crops that can utilize a perennial sod grass, such as in a side-based rotation, can potentially lessen nitrate loss while improving the soil. A rotation of 2 years of a row crop alternating with 2 years of Bahia grass has demonstrated huge benefits to farmers and the environment. The deep perennial root systems help build soil organic matter, which helps hold the soil moisture, improves soil tilth, and buffers soil fertility to support good crop growth. Not all farmers are able to convert to side-based rotation systems, and others are still on the fence on making a relatively large modification on their own farm management. But perhaps there's another way to reap the benefits of a grass-based production system. We propose that a winter cover crop may provide some of the desired benefits, including income for those who want to graze the cover as forage, but who also want to use the land each year for their row crop and not alternate with the 2 years on and 2 year off of a side-based rotation system. Grazing winter cover likely provides additional benefits for soil health by helping release plant essential nutrients tied up in the lignified residues of the grasses and by increasing the soil microbial diversity in their fields. Now you might be wondering, how do we know which treatments are actually reducing nitrate losses and making improvements? So to measure the nitrates in these research plots, that last slide showed 9 different treatments that we were testing at the same time with 3 replications. We have installed these Drainlysimeters that can measure water volume leaching below the root zone, and then we can sample the reservoir that's part of that system below the drainage part to analyze for nitrates. These lysimeters are quite large and difficult to install at the 3 to 5 foot depth that we need to capture nitrate below most of the roots. If you look here, I'll show you. Here's the top of the lysimeter where the soil is still 3 feet above it, and then below this is another 5 feet down, and from that point only the water portion of that soil is continuing to leach into this reservoir here. And then we can collect the sample with a tube that goes all the way down to the bottom. There's also a pressure transducer that can measure that volume automatically and sends the data to a data logger, which then sends it to the cloud, so we can see that remotely, and it updates twice a day. We use a vacuum pump to pull the sample out of the reservoir through the blue tubing that you can see there at the bottom. There's also a red cable that goes from the pressure transducer up to the data logger. That's the data I was telling you about going to the cloud. A single drain lysimeter is located in the middle of each of the research plots. We have 27 research plots or 27 drain lysimeters. I put a big circle roughly in the middle of the plot where the drain lysimeter is for this plot, and the sampling tube and the data cable are about 1.5 feet to 2 feet underground, going back up to the data logger and also where George, my technician, is sampling. Over the winter, we typically receive more rainfall than plants can use, so the excess water is leached down past the roots. With the water goes the nitrate. It's clear to see that our 3 row crop treatments without grazing, the first one is without cover crop, just fallow. The next 2 have 2 rates of nitrogen. They lost the most nitrates and had the highest water loss, while the sod-based rotation this is the one that says BAH for Bahia grass, was the least in terms of losses. Intermediate was the integrated crop livestock, which is basically only winter cover grazing, and then in the summer has the row crop. We will convert the Bahia over to cotton for the side-based rotation for this next summer. Okay, in comparison, in the summertime, as we were mentioning, the water losses are much less because evapotranspiration is much greater. So less water passes through the root zone and gets lost, and so less nitrates are lost as well. So instead of 20 pounds of nitrogen, we're down to about 12 for the row crop, and again, the other two are much lower. Bottom line, side-based rotation is still the winner in terms of minimizing nitrate losses, and winter grazing also helps though. So it's still having cover with the grazing is better so far than just having cover alone. Wow, that was a fast trip. I hope you enjoyed it. Got at least a small glimpse of how forages, in this case cover crops being grazed by cattle, can maybe help not only sustainable row crop production, but also protect water resources, in this case nitrates, from entering the surface and groundwater. I hope we can tackle future topics together, and until then, bye for now.